What up, though? This is your boy Mike D, host of Wrestling from the 313. And this is a special episode. It's 316 Day. So in pro wrestling, if anybody knows, the man that is connected to the numbers 316 is none other than Stone Cold Steve Austin. So it's 316 Day. So me and my guest, this is the second time on the show. He is the first to have multiple appearances on Wrestling from the 313. CranderQ, aka my real name. What up, though? And welcome back to the 313.
Oh, it's a good day when it's Stone Cold Day, Mike. Things are going great. I'm excited to talk Stone Cold. Now, I wasn't a huge Stone Cold fan growing up, but I always liked the weird ones. But I do love his personality. I love the podcast. He's a cat guy, so I feel like I'm finally in the cool club because a lot of wrestlers have cats. And like I said, I feel like I am in the cool club now. So shout out to Stone Cold for that. So.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So we're gonna get into the show real quick. Let's break down some of his career stats. As you can see here, Stone Cold was a Rookie of the Year. He was a 3-time Royal Rumble winner. He was a King of the Ring winner, WWE Hall of Famer, 6-time WWE or WWF champion. He was the Wrestler of the Year in 1998, and he's an actor, podcaster, and beer-chugging SOB. Hey, that summed it all up right there.
Right there, yep.
Yeah. So real quick, before we, have questions about, we talk about his WWE career, we're going to ask a few questions about his WCW career.
Okay. I'm game. I'm ready to rock.
That's what's up. Me too. Let's go. All right, so back when he was in WCW, he had hair. How does it make you feel seeing Stone Cold with hair?
It hurts. I just rewatched because we plan stuff like this. I just rewatched his WWE biography, and the whole time I'm staring at him, he has no facial hair. He's got a full mane of blonde hair, and I'm like, who is this dude on my TV? Like, it's so funny how just cutting your hair, growing a goatee, can drastically change your appearance. I cringe. I mean, he was very good wrestler, obviously, back then too, but it's just so hard to establish in my brain that is Stone Cold Steve Austin. Same name, same kind of movesets, but it's just like it's watching somebody else.
Right. But you know what? For me, it wasn't funny because that's how I remember Steve Austin. Like when I started watching WCW, I remember him as Stunning Steve Austin. And
okay.
He had the manager. He was actually in the faction, the Dangerous Alliance.
That's right. Yep.
Paul Heyman, he was Paulie Dangerously in WCW. He was the manager. I think Arn Anderson was in the group, Tully Blanchard, Rick Rude, Medusa. So that's how I remember him. And then after that whole faction split up or whatever, that's when he went to the tag team scene, and he was in that tag team with Brian Pillman.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned some Hall of Famers there. I think the only one that isn't now, well, I mean, with Paul Heyman going this year, just Rick Rude, I think, is the only one not in the Hall of Fame. Could be wrong, but that's a Hall of Fame all around right there. I didn't think of that till just now. So
yeah, I think that faction was a little. I would say they were underrated, because Rick Rude was a world champion in WCW. Arn Anderson was a guy that was consistent, winning U.S. titles, television titles, tag team titles. And you saw the same thing with Steve Austin, and then of course, Paulie Dangerously with the cell phone, and then Medusa was the manager. So they were a pretty good faction. I think they were very. I think when we talk about great factions of all time, I think the Dangerous Alliance is a faction that doesn't get talked about a lot.
I'm definitely gonna have to go back and search that. Not trying to plug the app, but back on Peacock and check out some of that stuff. To see early Paul Heyman with that phone. I mean, how have times changed? Am I right? The brick phone. Yeah. Now we literally have a full computer at our disposal 24/7. It is definitely crazy. And shout out to Medusa, being a pioneer in her day in those times. when she actually wanted to wrestle, where it was more just kind of still the sideshow act. And I know she gets in a lot of heat, on Twitter and stuff, but she's a trailblazer, a sweetheart both times I've met her. So shout out to Medusa.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And then it's funny. The only people that I remember with those phones that Paulie dangerously used to carry, him and Zach Morris from Saved by the
Oh,
Bell.
yeah. Did people have those in real life? I don't even know.
You know what? I'm surprised one of these phone companies ain't made something like that, or like a smaller version of that. But
that'd be hilarious. I would totally put that, like, even if it was a case, I would slide my phone in just so I could be a smartass like that. All right, T-Mobile and Sprint and whoever else is out there, Verizon, don't steal our idea. That's going to be patented by us. We're going to make millions.
Exactly. Right. All right, let's go into this next question real quick. And this one is about, Stone Cold and Brian Pillman when they were the Hollywood Blondes. Where do we place the Hollywood Blondes in great tag teams talk?
Definitely great workers. Brian Pillman, again, Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's why we're here today. Great workers. I remember watching a few of their tag matches. That's kind of, I think, maybe where I saw Stone Cold, but I think I was more into Brian Pillman just because my buddy had the action figure, with the tiger stripes,
I remember
and
that.
stuff. So I think I remember Pillman more than Austin, but I mean, great workers. I mean, and again, watching that docu-series back real quick, saying that run was cut so short. WCW, just like classic WCW, didn't know what to do, where to go. So many bookers and so many people doing whatever, but definitely great workers. I think they could hold up in like a modern day, tag team, especially those two guys' body of work. Rest in peace, Brian Pillman, but I think he could have really done some great work had his life not tragically been cut short.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's like you said, they would have been a good tag team in this era. You know what I'm saying? I think personally, overall, it's a lot of tag teams. I would probably put them in the top 25, something like that.
That's a good spot. I mean, we didn't get to see a lot of it. He did go to WWE. Pillman, I think, was a little bit later or before. I can't remember the order. Sorry, folks. There's so much wrestling out there; it's hard to keep track of everything. But I mean, Harlem Heat, the Nasty Boys, Road Warriors came in through for a quick minute. I like the Blue Bloods with William Regal.
Yeah.
I think it was Bobby Eaton. I always just wanted to punch Regal in the face because of his smug thing. But I always liked when they came out because I would get riled up. I remember that memory. The Steiners, I don't know if I mentioned them there because I was just thinking about punching Regal in the face as a kid. Not today because I would love to shake his hand and tell him what he's done for the business. But there was a lot of good tag teams back then that they could have worked with, and if had WWF at the time, WWE saw them, they could have easily, scooped them up as the Hollywood Blondes. Who knows? I mean, the future could have been completely different. He could have went in as a tag team.
Yeah, I agree. I think if they were a tag team in this era right now, I think they would be better for AEW just because AEW focuses more on tag team wrestling than WWE. Like WWE still ain't made no tag team belts for the tag team champions. They still got the blue and red stripe, and that's still considered the undisputed tag team championships.
And that sports entertainment and wrestling aspect, I feel like Brian Pillman and Austin would be more of the mat wrestling, and would just be pretty good with some of those other young teams. Obviously they're coming in young as well, but a lot of potential everywhere right now.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's get into one more WCW Steve Austin question. This one is, would Stunning Steve Austin have worked in the WWE? That's a good question. What do you think?
I think in that time period, coming with that gimmick, I think he would have done very well because it would have been somewhat more of what they were going into, like, with Brett, Sean, Razor, Diesel, 1, 2, 3 Kid. Like, those characters are starting to be a little bit less hokey
Yeah.
and more, real. Not They weren't fully to that, reality like when Nash and Hall and that type. But I think he would have been really good in that persona. Um, obviously we would have probably gotten Stone Cold Steve Austin,
Right.
but I feel like he would have had a really good body of work, IC title. If Mr. Perfect was there, they would have tore it up. Him and Brett obviously had chemistry. Him and Sean had chemistry.
Yeah.
I think his character would have did really well, and that's definitely a good question you got there, Mike. I think you should totally put that on the page because I think people would agree with me that that character could have survived in that 90s, smaller guy transition. Oh, I would love to see him work Razor before he was,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Definitely.
healthy, hopefully cleaner. I don't want to sound like a jerk saying that, but like, he had his stuff together a little bit more before he went to WCW.
Yeah. I think he could have succeeded as the Stunning Steve Austin
Mhm.
character. I see him in that mid card. I could see him as like like one of the greatest like intercontinental champions if he went to
Yeah.
WWE as Stunning Steve Austin. Like
And I mean, they could have easily put that on him with all the injuries too, if those all lined up.
yeah,
The strap for a short time, they call it that transitional. I mean, they gave it to Kane for 24 hours. I mean, I could see Stunning Steve Austin because it would have led to more of that suit wearing type too, because the '90s were changing. you
yeah,
know, and he could have easily been like the Jericho wearing the suit out like Bockwinkel and just been that, JBL, like all these names that I'm thinking of would have been tied in his persona. So he could have had a 1 or 2 run. Now, I don't think he would have been the face of the company like he was
yeah,
with that
yeah,
persona, but I feel like, that corporate way that it went and, with the 90s and everything, I think it would at least 1 or 2. I would guarantee at least 1 or 2 if we could get back in the time machine and be like, "Hey, Vince, I got a guy you gotta meet." But so that's just me.
yeah, yeah. I definitely feel. I definitely see. He would have been an IC champion. Definitely would have helped elevate the title with guys like Mr. Perfect,
Hmm.
um, Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels before he
Yep.
picture, and yeah, he definitely, like you said, he would have been a good heel,
Hmm.
a real good heel,
Oh yeah.
and it would have been interesting to see him in WWE as Stunning Steve Austin, but hey, he had different plans.
Probably wouldn't have got a Triple H because that was kind of that Butler when he first came out. Look at that transition from Butler to the game.
Yeah,
So, we probably could have still gotten Stone Cold Steve Austin had he, had to come back, or from an injury or something. I don't know. But I definitely feel like he could have made it. Not as big, but definitely would have been a top player for sure.
definitely, definitely. Let's get into our next question, and this one is here. What was your first impression of Stone Cold?
I freaking hated him. I like Savio Vega. Um, I don't know why. Again, I like the weird ones. I just remember Savio Vega being one of the first WWF people that I remember. And, he was teamed up with Million Dollar Man. I hated Million Dollar Man because he disrespected the great Dusty Rhodes and Sapphire. So I hated him. And I told the Million Dollar Man, I was like, I hated you as a kid. I respect you now. But as a kid, you pissed me off, bro. And that's one of those memories that feel real is that I'm getting heated. That SummerSlam 90 when he takes Sapphire into the limo and they're driving. I'm getting goosebumps, bro. I'm getting heated. And you just see Dusty chasing after, man. I hate Ted DiBiase. So by, what do you call it? Basically by association, I hated Stone Cold right from the get go. And then they had that strap match, and I thought the loser had to leave, and I believe it was Ted DiBiase had to leave. That's
Yeah,
when I first heard the na 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 hey, bye, bye, and
Yeah.
I was so happy that Savio beat him in that strap match. So Ted DiBiase was gone because as a kid, yeah, I was like, kick rocks, bro. So yeah, man, I got way too excited over that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think my first impression of Stone Cold, I remember he was when he came into WWE, he was the ringmaster. He had the $1 million championship, and you could just tell if you watched it that ringmaster character it was working, but it
Hmm.
wasn't working. It
Hmm.
was like he needed something, and then it was just like all of a sudden he came out with the black vest and it's just like, who is this dude that's just out here talking trash? I'm like, this ain't the Steve Austin that I remember or
Hmm.
whatever. I think he was one of the, I think he opened up the door in wrestling for like cuss words. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? He
Yep.
definitely opened it up. Like, um, and then just the feuds he had with Bret Hart and them two going back and forth, and I'm
Right.
gonna whoop your ass, son. And Bret Hart just like, oh man, like do I have to hear this or whatever? But yeah, Stone Cold was just that was my first impression. Nonsense guy, and he didn't tolerate no BS.
Yeah, definitely. He did not put up with any BS.
We got one. Let's go into this next question. And what's the best Stone Cold catchphrase?
What? No, I hate the what one. I like the old "Give me a hell yeah,"
Yeah,
But I mean, just taking the simplest things that we say in everyday life and making them iconic. Hell yeah! What? Um, that's the bottom line. You know, um, just simple ones. They're not like too thought up. That's
yeah,
the thing that I always hear wrestlers say. Don't try to do something you're not. And he's like, he's just using simple phrases, and he got them over.
yeah.
Whereas you have someone like Seth Rollins, who I love, where it's burn it down. And it's just like, what? And then that finally caught on because of the
Yeah.
music with it too. But I remember he got called out on Twitter by someone like, burn it down. Like, keep saying it, kid. They might finally catch on. Well, it did. But again, Austin just took something so simple and made it more than what it was.
Yeah.
And the what chant still goes on to this day. And I know I've been to like local shows, big shows, WrestleMania, and people still do it. I don't like it. It drives me nuts. Just like the, one fall, thing and stuff. And shout out to John Manning, who shuts that shit down right away. He doesn't even play that game. But yeah, simple, easy, and still relevant, which is, after 30 some years, I mean, besides the Miz being awesome, I can't think of anything that's going to stay around that long. Besides, obviously, Iconic Rock, but we won't talk about that. But
Right.
that's, yeah.
I think my favorite catchphrase, I think it's two of them. I want to say one of them is and that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. I mean, that's just that's the catchphrase. You know what I'm saying? That's
Mm-hmm.
how he ended his promos and stuff. And then I would definitely have to say the promo, the Austin 316 says
Oh,
I
yeah.
just whooped your ass. That's what started it all right there.
Yep.
You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So it's just like those I think are my two favorites right there. And when he said what he that promo when he won the King of the Ring, I swear the next night I watched Monday Night Raw, that's all you saw was
Mm-hmm.
Austin 316 signs. And Austin 316 says I just whooped your ass. Like when he said that, that was the beginning of like his career took off. Career took off for real.
Yeah, I mean, I would say NWO shirts are still selling like rapid fire, our other favorite faction,
Oh
as
yeah.
well as Stone Cold Steve Austin shirts sell. Or the 316 shirt just sells, you know.
Oh yeah.
because it's just one of those things every wrestling fan wants, and has to have in their probably wrestling collection.
Oh yeah.
For me, it's NWO. I was a WCW kid. I wasn't again fans of the Rocks and that stuff. I was more, the NWO and all that stuff. But yeah, just two iconic shirts that are never going to go away.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, in 20, 30 years, we're probably still going to see them, when we're in the nursing home going, I remember that day very well.
Yep.
Come over here. Let me tell you a story, kid. But then same with that whoop ass. I mean, that was another thing that, he would just throw out there and it would just make the crowd go crazy.
Yep. Yeah, I forgot about the open up a can of whoop ass.
Yep.
Because I remember when he said that, they used to WWE used to sell a can of whoop ass, and I think it would be like a t-shirt or something in there.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the next question. The next question is, what's your favorite Stone Cold moment?
I know one that always sticks out is the Zamboni. Just each week he's got another vehicle that he's driving down to the ring. The milk truck incident, that's going to go down as something crazy. But I'd say the Zamboni just because it's got a special, because my uncle drove the Zamboni and stuff. And I just thought that was so wild that he did that.
Yeah.
As well as, that moment with Bret Hart where he passes out. That's just another iconic image of him just bleeding down. Now every other wrestler on the indies does that photo. They're still doing it today. Britt Baker, Nia, Becky Lynch. It's the cool thing to do. But shout out to Austin for making that something that you can sell every time it happens.
Yeah.
And that's not disrespectful to like the indie wrestlers or anybody else, but it's just like everybody's doing it. They say be different, or that black and white photo when Mox took, cigar and drinking a beer or whatever, now everybody's doing that classic backstage pose, but yeah, definitely Bret Hart and that sharpshooter stands out. And, obviously him singing guitar with Kurt Angle too is another great moment,
Yeah. I would say some of my favorite moments would be, like you said, the one when he drove the Zamboni to the arena. That actually happened at Joe Louis Arena in Detroit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And there was another, remember the skit that him and The Rock did when they were on that bridge?
Oh, yeah.
And when he threw him off the bridge and threw his belt in the water? That also happened in Detroit. That was at the Bailout Bridge. And yeah, I remember that. That's one of my favorite moments. The beer truck.
Yeah.
When he drove the beer truck to the ring. And I will also say when him and The Rock had their last match and they had the sing along on Raw. And I think Rock was singing Kenny Rogers and Stone Cold. No, Rock was singing Kenny Rogers and Stone Cold was singing Jimmy Buffett, Margaritaville. So they were just having going back and forth singing, and I think at the end of the promo or whatever, Stone Cold gave him a stunner or whatever.
Yeah,
but that was like definitely like you knew that was the end of Stone Cold. Like I think that was when he was going through the neck issues and stuff like that, and that ended up being his last match.
Yeah, the other thing that's not very iconic that I think of sometimes when he would come out all the time is when they're throwing the beers. That man's got some hands to catch.
Yeah.
And I just remember a few of them where he's like throwing beers at one of the wrestlers and they're just flying by him. And it's just so funny because the guy is just like, like that cracks me up. Those aren't our kind iconic, but just little chuckles there. But also just came to mind is when he did that Bang 316. That wouldn't go on TV to this day. Like that, a lot of moments that he did probably wouldn't be on TV now. So
yeah, because that was the one when Vince had pissed his pants, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would too. I mean, if it was me in that situation, but not like I would purposely do it. I wonder if he really did that. I'm sure he really pissed his pants because that's Vince for you. So
yeah, he probably drank a lot of water before he got out there too.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this next question. What's your favorite Stone Cold rivalry?
I know we touched on Bret Hart, and I always bring this up. Is I never understood why we hated Canada so much back then. You know how Stone Cold was against Team Canada, and I never understood that. And I just thought that was always funny how we hated, Canada. And then just the other day, the shout out to our friends Cruising with Kayfabe. Some guy was being a troll on their page and then made a nice review on my page to slam them. So I blocked them and I literally said, now I understand why Stone Cold Steve Austin didn't like Canadians. Just kidding. I love Canada, just making a joke. But anything, with Vince was a big rivalry. That's one that stands out. The Rock, and HBK. Those are the big four right there. Brett, Vince, Sean.
I think my favorite rivalries with Stone Cold, of course, Vince McMahon. If it wasn't no Stone Cold Vince McMahon rivalry, WWE probably would have went out of business. That because WCW was killing them in the ratings. Like, what was it, like 83
83 weeks? Yeah.
And I remember the episode that broke that streak, and that was the match where Vince McMahon had said that he was gonna wrestle Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it was just like a big thing, you know what I'm saying? And I can remember looking in the newspaper, and there was like a little hotline that I used to call. This writer on the Detroit News would like talk wrestling and stuff. So I called him, and he called the hotline, and he said, WWE finally, ended their losing streak, 83 weeks. And ever since then, WCW had their weeks where they won, but after that, WWE just ran with it.
That's another thing you bring up that's so archaic is those hotlines. I used to remember trying to catch the one on Saturday when Jim Ross would ask questions, and then just seeing clips of him not being in the mood to answer stupid questions. But yeah, the hotline, man, that just came up. And then I just thought of when they were in the hospital when he's beating up Vince and he hits him with that that iconic doing, I just remember that from watching the docuseries here, I guess you could throw Foley in there, his different variations, but I wasn't a fan of Dude Love. I didn't really care for that character when he was doing that. So that's probably why I might dismiss that rivalry. But Foley could work with him. They had some good chemistry.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I know I said Vince was one of my favorites. I would have to say his rivalries with The Rock, his rivalries with Bret, and I think a lot of people don't talk about it as much. His rivalries with Triple H.
Yep.
And that was around the time when Triple H had left DX, kind of split from DX, was in the corporation and kind of making that transition, into the game. And he had China. That's when he would come out and have the colors and stuff all on them and spitting the water out and stuff. So those were they had a good rivalry also.
Yeah, and you definitely mentioned Rock. 3 WrestleManias main events. People get mad because Roman or Brock or Seth or whoever. A lot of things that WWE does, they recycle. And it's so funny that people are like, oh, they don't know what they're doing. Shut up and watch TV. Watch your wrestling. You love it. But being the first one to, like we said, have the multiple Royal Rumble wins. WrestleMania multi matches with the same person, things that hadn't been done before as well, so
definitely. All right, we got one more question, and this question is, what is your Stone Cold dream match?
I'm a huge Kevin Owens fan, and that was not a dream match for me. I love Kevin Owens. I don't like that he uses the stunner. I like the pop-up power bomb more. Please go back to that. Get rid of the stunner. Somebody else can use it. Dream matches now. It'd be kind of fun to watch him and Brock have that match that made him walk out. I would love to see him with, a Daniel Bryan. Give me a Jason Alexander. Or no, is it Jason? No. But the TNA champion there for a while.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I know
it's Alexander something, isn't it? Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. I met the guy, super great, another Canadian. So that rivalry would continue with Canada. But guys like that, that are more mat technicians, versus, a Ricochet who's doing a lot of the high flying stuff. I wouldn't want to see that, but in my opinion. But, a Chad Gable, a Gunther, he's going to mat wrestle you. Ilya Dragunov would eat him alive.
Yeah.
He would need those Steve Weisers definitely after that ass kicking. But I would like to see him go to toe with some mat wrestlers. A lot of those British guys, and would be kind of cool to see. And that's not to take away from like Drew, Seth, Roman. It's just I feel like a style clash. It would be those smaller feuds, but him and, like I said, a Daniel Bryan or Chad Gable getting there and rolling around in the mat. I don't think he crossed too much paths with Benoit. Not that we want to talk about the tragic stuff that he did, but the body of work I want to look at. And him and Jericho, they tore it up. I mean, him and Eddie could have tore it up. Again, I don't know if they touched. That's kind of where I wasn't watching wrestling. Dean Malenko, a lot of those mat-like guys. I'd like to see those matches because it's more about the storytelling versus the big moves or the crowd interaction. So
yeah, I think it's 3 that I would like to see. I think I would like to see him against Hulk Hogan.
That too. Yeah. Another one that he wasn't given.
The 2 big stars in WWE at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Stone Cold kind of, as far as merchandise sales, he passed up Hulk Hogan. And I think he just passed up Hulk Hogan as like the greatest of all time in WWE. Now, that, I don't want to take nothing away from what Hogan did because he put Hogan put wrestling on the map.
Mm-hmm.
But what Stone Cold was able to do, and Ric Flair said this too, Stone Cold Steve Austin saved WWE. I think a lot of people don't realize that unless you really are a big wrestling fan and watch the stories and that they tell, Stone Cold saved WWE from going out of business. And just the way he was one of the first wrestlers that made it cool to root for the bad guys. Like Ric Flair was always that kind of guy back in the day. But the impact that Stone Cold had being a bad guy and being rooted for, like him and the NWO were responsible for that. Because after that happened, when The Rock was a heel, he started getting cheered. When DX were heels, they started getting cheered. So it's just like he opened up a lot for a lot of heels to get rooted.
Definitely.
I would like to see him against John Cena.
Oh yeah, I mean that would be a good one. People are gonna crap on Cena and his 5 moves of dooms, but he can wrestle, and his body of work is structured, for a certain reason. I would like to see him him have, more of a different style just to kind of break away from that. But unfortunately, got pigeonholed in there just like Hogan had to keep doing the same thing because what do the kids want to see? No. 5 knuckle shuffle. Right. Is it called the FU? Same thing with Hogan. The pump up, the finger point. Those are what the people want to see. And I've said this lately a lot on other shows and my show is that WWE is like the circus. People are gonna go to the circus because it's in town. Where AEW is for us, the wrestling fans. Yeah. The people that want to go and literally just watch a product is AEW, where WWE is that big machine that's coming to town and you have to go see it because it's like, when am I going to see John Cena, who's the Peacemaker, or when am I going to see The Rock, who was, in all these movies back then? Like, you're going because it is a show that is bigger than wrestling. And, we say it all the time. We hate the tribalism. We have a group of people that just can't stand it, you
Yeah,
know, and I always say, don't bring attention to it because then you're just going to get the trolls. But I just feel like WWE is the circus. When it's in town, people are going to go because it is an attraction. It's a show. You're possibly going to be able to see a celebrity as well. They're going to have a big name music act there. Not saying that AEW doesn't do that,
yeah,
but WWE is doing it differently.
yeah.
And I know, like, when WWE comes to town, I'm looking at what the feuds are, if it's worth coming to town or for me to go. Whereas I would rather sit my butt in an indie show, talk smack to my favorite wrestlers, and then try not to get slapped when I go get an autograph later because I talk so much shit in the ringside.
Right,
But,
right.
you know, and a lot of my friends who are wrestling fans will take their kids to the WWE show because it's that, where they won't take them to AEW because, it's not that big production. Where they'll go watch wrestling, but they're not going to bring their kids because they're not going to get that aura of going home happy, kind of thing.
Yeah. But you know what? AEW is getting better with their
So,
production.
yeah, I
You know what
mean,
I'm
they're
saying?
they're doing their thing, and I'm not trying to
Yeah,
take away from them at all.
right.
And I don't watch AEW. I watch clips. And I listen to a lot of podcasts because I got a lot of friends. And it seems like it's picking up steam. And, like I said, the only thing that's really, I guess, a downside of AEW is that it's not getting credit where credit is due because people want to be trolls on the internet.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say one thing here, which I will continue to say. If you believe every report and believe everything on the internet, Mike, you've heard me say this. If it's on the internet, it's fake, people. People are just trying to get a rise out of you. Those
Yeah.
people that are playing piano and then just some magical violin person shows up. No, it's staged for your entertainment. Just like your basic cable show with Gordon Ramsay is staged to get you to watch. Everything on the internet is fake. Just if you see someone watching NXT at AEW, they're probably doing it so they can have a picture to go viral.
Oh, yeah.
Calm down. I believe AEW is doing some right things now more than I'm keeping an eye on it. They're
Mm-hmm.
getting better, and they're never going to be at WWE's level
Oh, nah, nah.
because I feel like WWE is just going to keep growing and they're just going to keep chasing it.
Yeah.
So I feel like they will never be. I mean, I could eat crow. I will. I'll put salt and pepper on it. But I don't think they're ever going to surpass WWE in sales, revenue, roster, merchandise, because they are starting so late.
Yeah.
WWE has, what, 50 years ahead of them?
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
they know all the nuances, you know? Just like if another podcast started, they're not going to catch up, and beat, what is it, Joe Rogan in 2 weeks. It's going to take time to get steam, but they're always going to be following because that is the lead horse, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And when they do get to brag, let them have their moments. You don't have to go on the computer and say, oh, well, the only reason they did it is because the pay-per-view was at 3 a.m. Let them have their moment. Like when I get 32 views on a video, I'm telling everybody. And I don't care that Logan Paul's got 46 million. I got 32, brother. Like,
Right.
let them celebrate their success and move on. And I love what Mongo says on Cruising with Kayfabe. Oh, are you mad that you're not the main character? And I pop for that every time I see him comment that. But just let them enjoy their success. They're never going to be bigger than WWE unless something tragically happens. But I just, they're always going to be playing catch up, and that's going to make them hungry to do better. So
Yeah.
there's my soapbox. Sorry, I went on for 5 minutes there.
Oh, no, it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. But yeah, it's just like you said. I think these AEW WWE debates it's turning into the Michael Jordan, LeBron James
Yeah,
debates. Like,
it's just it's like the cool thing to do. And I
yeah,
always see it, and this isn't to sound, I won't say racist, but ignorant, is I see a lot of these counts that are from places that I don't know and have names that I can't pronounce. And
mm-hmm.
they'll literally say, "Oh, I can't stand Roman Reigns. He's stupid." And then people will comment in there like how, "Oh, you're wrong, you're wrong." They're doing it so their thing gets moved to the top.
Yeah.
You can
Oh,
easily go into any chat and when people are talking about Sting, and then you could put Sting is overrated and then just watch everybody flood in there
oh
because
yeah.
people are going to comment.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it's a way to get them to get noticed, or they get the attention, because it's just like when people brag about giving to charity, you want people to feel good about you, not the deed. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I always laugh and say the internet is fake. So
Oh yeah. And the last dream match I got for Stone Cold, and it's cool that you mentioned AEW. I would like to see a dream match against him and Moxley.
oh yeah,
I think him and John
they're both
Moxley.
snug.
I
Imagine those
think,
promos.
yeah, yeah,
I could just see, Stone Cold or head rattling, and then you just see Moxley. Yeah. And I'm
yeah,
listening to his audiobook right now, and the way that man reads his own book is hilarious.
yeah,
If you haven't read Mox's book or listened to it yet, you need to go out and find it, because it's pretty great the way he just, paints a scene. And I know he gets a lot of crap, but when he was Dean Ambrose, everybody loved him. So I don't know where the hate's coming from now. Maybe because he just bleeds too much, but
yeah,
whatever. If you're not happy with it, you say you love pro wrestling, you wouldn't be complaining about every little thing that you don't like.
yeah.
Stop saying you love pro wrestling as a fan, and then critique every little thing of it. Like, oh, he didn't do this right. They should have did the match this way. No, that's the way you wanted the match to go because you think your idea is better than the people that actually work in that company.
Exactly.
And if you were smarter or better, you would be there.
That's true.
Sorry. I think Pat McAfee did it where he had people who were tweeting, "Oh, I could have made that 36-yard field goal. Let's invite those son of a guns to kick field goals." None of them made it. None of them. So instead of armchair quarterbacking, just enjoy wrestling that you say you love so much. And
I
it's
agree.
just like, you don't have to critique everything they do in the ring. If you're going to revisit what happened that week on television, talk about what happened and just say, in my opinion, I would do this. They didn't do it. I didn't like it. Let's move on. You don't have to pile on or bury the product that you love so much. Like, I literally want to make a t-shirt that says, "I love pro wrestling," and then it's scratched out, "I complain on the internet." Don't steal that, anybody. That's my t-shirt idea. Great. Now that will go, and then it'll be the next John 3:16 thing, and great. There goes my money out the window.
Right. Real quick, a question just popped up in my head. If you had a chance to meet Stone Cold, like where would you want to meet him, or you know what I'm saying? What would you say to him, and just yeah, where would you want to meet him at?
I wouldn't say he's on the top of my bucket list, but I would definitely go if he showed up somewhere. I wouldn't want to go to a con because they're always so expensive. A WWE event that they're doing would be kind of fun, but it's the same thing like a con. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if he would do an independent show where you get more than 13 seconds to talk to the man, and I would totally, like I said in the beginning of it, like he's a cat dad. I want to just joke around with him about that and tell him that first memory I had of him, I just hated him because he was wrestling Savio Vega and I didn't like you, just to hear him chuckle, but he did make childhood cool. I don't even think I had a Stone Cold action figure, to be honest with you.
No, I
I
did.
had Gold Dust, I had Bret Hart, I had HBK, I had those stupid vibrating ones from WCW, which I think are cool. Roast me in the chat, whatever. And I had the Stingers, the Hogans, the Flair, you know. I had those ones that didn't have articulation like they do now. Those Gloob hard figures, but
Yeah.
yeah, I would definitely tell him that it's cool that he's a cat dad, and that I hated him as a kid just to hear him chuckle. So
I think for me, I think I would want to go on his podcast.
there
You
you
know
go.
what I'm saying? I would want to go on his podcast. I had me a beer, the 2 cans of beer. He had 2 cans of beer, maybe a bottle of whiskey, and we take some shots and we just talk wrestling and sports or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be, I think that's on my top of the list when it comes to like being a guest on podcast shows. You know what I'm saying? So if I ever had to go on anybody's podcast show, I think it would definitely be Stone Cold's as far as like those top tier podcast shows.
Yeah, I definitely like to be a fly on the wall while he's instructing like Tough Enough or something to
Yeah,
watch. It's
yeah,
just kind of like sitting watching a director direct a movie. I would like to sit there and watch how they train the guys.
yeah.
That would be kind of fun. No way in hell I'd go on that Broken Skull Ranch challenge. I used to watch that.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah. I remember.
I commented on Baron Corbin. Yes, I'm a Baron Corbin fan, people. I thought it'd be kind of cool if he went like on a cooking show. It'd be kind of fun to watch a bunch of wrestlers go on that and see how bad they are. And then you just have Stone Cold up there with a beer or wine, whatever he's drinking for the night, critiquing that shit. That'd be hilarious. You know,
Yeah.
that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. That shit's going in the trash. So,
All right, so this one last question. Mount Rushmore. Do you have him on your Mount Rushmore, or where do you have him on your GOAT list?
so I know we did the episodes with JD. I went with more of the fan perspective because that's what my podcast, Friends of the Squared Circle, is about, is the fan perspective. Um, Unfortunately, he's not very high. He's not. I'm a Dusty guy. I'm a Cody guy. Unfortunately, those guys are going to be above them because of the favoritism. He's very low. I will say he is very low. Now, if you brought up that question about meeting Stone Cold or meeting Big Show, I would probably go the Big Show route because that's my guy from being a kid, because that's bigger to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I said, I love Kevin Owens, but I don't like the Stone Cold stuff that he did and the stunner. I don't like that. You know what I mean? I don't want him to
yeah.
start going into that WWE machine. I want him to be himself.
Right, right.
Um, yeah, I'd say below top 50, and that's pretty bad. And we're doing a podcast about him. And I'm not saying he's not great,
Right,
folks. It's
right.
just there's so many other wrestlers that I look at that could be a better promo. That could be a better wrestler. I mean,
Mhm.
no offense, but Angle would wipe the floor with him if there was a competition with wrestling. And,
Oh yeah,
you
yeah.
know, Kurt can cut a promo. Kurt can get you entertained.
Oh
Stone Cold is kind of like Jason Statham. Oh my God, I'm going to catch heat on the internet. This is where you clip it. We're at the 48-minute and 30-second mark. Here's your clip. I feel Stone Cold is like Jason Statham and doesn't have a lot of range. Okay.
yeah.
And that, I mean, you're going to get the same movie, the same match over and over. You can change a couple colors, or he's a cowboy this week and he's not drinking beer, but it's going to be the same type of thing, folks. And that's, he's iconic. Yes. Cuts good promos, great matches, but Eddie Guerrero, again, another guy that I feel like could get the crowd even more amped up. Yes, Stone Cold had his moment where he was the top guy, but there's a lot of guys ahead of him. A lot of guys ahead of him in my book. And I am not going to be on any other podcast. Everybody's going to blackball me. They're going to eat me up in the comments. This dude, CranderQ, is a douche.
You
And
said
I'll
they
take it,
canceled
but
you, huh?
I'm canceled right here. I'm 13, 313, everybody can cancel me. Yep. Sorry, folks. I just,
Hey,
I
but you know what? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that because it seemed like you value more of like the technical
Mm-hmm.
wrestlers, the
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying, and there's nothing wrong with that. Me personally, I got him in the Mount Rushmore. I got him in my on my GOAT list. I go back and forth with this between him and Hulk Hogan all the time. And then I think about, well, Ric Flair's a 16-time champion,
Mm-hmm.
possibly a 21-time champion, because
Yep, he's adding more. Yep, because he wants to keep
16.
that record, rightfully so. And anybody talks shit that he's trying to keep a record. Yeah, that keeps you as in the conversation. How often when they're talking about Damian Tomlinson or Derrick Henry catching Eric Dickerson, you know he's at home sweating because they're going to keep talking about him, and it keeps him relevant from he played in the 70s or 80s or whatever. I don't know timelines, but it makes him relevant, you know? Like, so if anybody's coming after your records and you're happy for them to beat it, you're a liar. You're saying that to stay on TV. I don't want nobody breaking my records. You know? Yeah.
Another guy that a lot of people don't talk about in the GOAT conversation that I think should be in it is John Cena.
Yeah, I'll give it to him.
John Cena, because I mean, he was basically the Hulk Hogan of the ruthless aggression era. You know what I'm saying? But everything that he did with the kids, the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and he got the 16 championships. So you know what I'm saying? You can't deny that. I would say John Cena is like the LeBron James of pro wrestling. No
We
matter
can do a Cena
what
episode. I would love to dive into Cena. I'd totally do a Cena episode. I mean, I don't like the character, but you have to respect what he did. Like I said earlier, you know, he got pigeonholed into that Hogan-esque where he had to do those things because that's what people brought their kids to see. And that's unfortunate. You know, Hogan, the same thing. Oh, they want to see the leg drop, you know, like, okay, you know, and now everybody hates it, but it's like, well, that's what he had to do. He had to be the face of the company.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know,
only thing I wish with Cena, I wish that we would have seen a heel turn.
Yeah, that could have been that moment, so we could have seen another side of him. That isn't a pun, everybody, that I just said there. But you know, unfortunately, you know, it didn't happen. But you know, never say never. But yeah, I would love to do a Cena episode. You know, so
yeah, definitely we're gonna have to put that together.
Yeah,
and I think the perfect time that he should have the right time that he should have went heel. I don't know if you remember that storyline, but remember when he joined the Nexus with Wade Barrett, and you know he had lost.
I was at that pay-per-view.
That would have been the perfect time if you would have just like, you know, he would have, you know, first got into the group, didn't like the group, but then saw some things and made, you know, gave them a little advice and started liking the role. And then him and Wade Barrett could have been like they could have been like Cobra and Destro from G.I. Joe. You know what I'm saying? Like how Cobra was the leader.
Yep.
But Destro was kind of like his right-hand man. You know what I'm saying?
And you could have easily, you know, when it came to when they had that feud, you know, the blowout at the end, you could have made Wade Barrett, you know, the face. You know, could have catapulted him with Cena, you know. But I mean, respect to him and Orton's feuds too. I mean, we got that all the damn time, but those matches were fun.
Yeah.
You know, they got a little stale here and there, but man, some of them were just great.
Oh yeah.
You know, in that Psycho Orton era, man, the Viper, still gives me chills with that bald head.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
So,
well, CranderQ, thank you very much for stopping by on this 316 episode. Is there anything before we get up out of here that you wanted to plug?
Just, you know, I got a little silly little podcast too, folks, but it's the fan perspective. We don't really get into results, pay-per-view, stuff like that. We want to talk about your story as a fan. We want to know those first matches that you saw, those iconic moments that stand out. Do you collect anything? We want to know about you, and you are the star of Friends in Square Circle. I'm just the host. I get the job that nobody wants, you know. So, yeah, if you want to check us out, we're on Facebook, but, you know, check out our group of friends. We got, Mike D, Wrestling with the 313. We've got Mayhem Media. We've got Cruising with Kayfabe, Honor Elite, Cards Subject to Change, 13 Cards Subject to Change. There's so many. Joe Monroe Show. Come meet my friends on my page. Help yourself grow, because I'm all about, showing people off. If you need any help, I'm here. I want to see my friends succeed. So come check us out at Friends and Squared Circle on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. I don't really do the X because I don't understand it. I hate it. The retweeting stuff. I think they tweet it. It's dumb. TikTok's probably shutting down, but come check us out. And before we go, I gotta crack a cold one. It's not too cold anymore, but Stone Cold, happy 316 day. You are iconic. You are a hero to a lot of wrestling fans. I won't take that away from you, but you're in my bottom top 50.
Appreciate it, CranderQ. Thank you for chugging the beer and everything.
It's gross. Another reason I don't like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Just I am so kicked out of the wrestling community after this show.
Hey, they might have one of those summits, and they might have to.
Yeah, make sure you just blast me. You have my permission to roast the crap out of me.
Hey,
I'll take it.
It's all good, man. It's all good. I appreciate you stopping by.
No problem.
Having this great conversation, talking about Stone Cold and even little John Cena. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate it. Thank you for plugging your podcast. Thank you for everybody for watching. Make sure you check Wrestling from the 313 out on YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit those notification buttons so you'll know when the new episode it just dropped. Follow on Facebook, follow on Instagram, X/Twitter, TikTok. We got the TikTok main page, and also we got the TikTok Wrestling from the 313 shop. And make sure you go get a sweatshirt, a hoodie, t-shirt, show some love, get down with the 313, as CranderQ would say at times. And just keep supporting us, man, and just showing us love. We just out here doing what we do best, and that's just talking about wrestling, and that's it,
If you don't follow them, it's clobbering time. That's a match we never got, Stone Cold and CM Punk. And if you don't, I'm going to block you like my favorite wrestler, Goldust. Check out Mike on all his social media platforms.
Definitely. Appreciate it. Well, we're about to get up out of here. Once again, thank you, CranderQ. I am Mike D, host of Wrestling from the 313, and I will holler at you soon. Peace.